Joining us in our newsroom, we are so excited to have nationally recognized psychotherapist and brain health expert, Dr. Tara Lynn Sell. Hello and welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, we're talking about love, right? Valentine's
Oh
Day.
man.
Valentine's Day is right around the corner. So I guess you are here without too much pressure to unlock the secrets of love, let's say.
That is a lot of pressure, Doesn't everyone want some love in their life? And I'm going to unlock those secrets for you. Yes.
Okay. So my first question is, I know it's about chemistry, but there also must be about chemicals. Can you speak to that? Maybe if there's a difference between chemicals in a man's brain versus chemicals in a woman's brain in terms of how they fall in love, or maybe initially just become attracted to one another.
Well, I mean, really, when we look at love, people really want this idea that it is love at first sight. Like, I'm going to find my person right now and go from there. But unfortunately, it's not quite that easy. We have different phases of love and attraction that we go through. And you first start off with lust. And lust is based in hormones. So for a male, testosterone, and for a female, estrogen. So there is the key. First, that's kind of like the attack phase, right? Like when you're out in the wild, kind of searching for your mate, right? The testosterone is what gets you there.
Oh, I love that. Like you're in the right. You're for the hunt. Okay,
you're in for the hunt, and if you think about it, like yeah, we've all been there, I think, in some respects or another. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then what about? Do we know who? So we have lust first. Is there sort of a certain phase that lasts?
I'm not sure that there's a timing on these different phases, but the next one is attraction and then attachment. And I think what we like to do is like, we want it to be in a very short, succession, right? But I think sometimes it lasts a little bit longer than what we really want. But when we move into attraction, that's when we look at those brain chemicals like dopamine and adrenaline. That's what surges through you. It makes it exciting and it's a reward. Like, I want to do that again, right, with that person. So that's attraction. And the next phase is attachment. And that's when we have things like oxytocin. And that's when we have endorphins, creating that attachment. And then moving into the endorphins is like that calm attachment that we have. But I mean, we're a quick fix society. We want to be like in love and ready to go. But this is these are 3 different phases of attraction and of love.
Okay. So we talked about the lust and the specific hormones that are, which are testosterone and then estrogen for women.
Yep.
Then we talked about the attraction, which differs, and then we go to attachment. So
yes.
are there more?
Well, those are the primary research 3 phases of love. So, we go through phases after that, of course. And that's when we kind of get also to this place that we can get to as complacency in relationships. And that's when we kind of lose the luster. So we have to keep kind of fighting for the attraction and the attachment, if you will. Not fighting for it in a bad way, but like keeping it alive and surging those brain chemicals.
Mm-hmm. I hear a lot of people say, couples, we've just lost our passion. Yeah. I guess you could say.
And that's complacency. And complacency is a very negative spot to be in a relationship.
So we do not want to reach that phase. Or
you don't.
Okay, we do not.
No, you do not. Like, once you get to complacency, it's very difficult to circle back in and create the lust and the attraction and things like that again. Okay. So much of that is about perspective, actually, how you see your partner, because over time, if we have a negative viewpoint, which could be because of our own chemical reactions and hormones going on within us, we start to see the world and our partners in a negative light. Mm-hmm. So changing that, if there's no reason to see them in a negative light, okay, so changing that and viewing your partner as more attractive to you and doing things that promote health in your relationship versus they're against me.
Oh, okay. That's really interesting. Can you speak more to that? So are these chemicals different to what we're talking about in terms of these, 4 phases, just having a different sense of their outlook on life?
It's likely we can say that because life creates a lot of stress, which causes imbalances in brain chemicals and imbalance in hormones and imbalance in cortisol. And so we would be kind of remiss to think that we are going to have the same brain chemistry when we start a relationship as we do 30 years later, because life goes on and we get children and families and work stress and life and pandemic stress and all these things. And once we're in a stress zone, it actually will steal from our sex hormones to pay the price, which it also steal from our neurochemistry to pay the price of that stress. So when we're stressed out, we're not going to feel as loving, caring. We're going to feel more like fight or flight, and everything and everyone is in the way of that for us.
Mm-hmm. So you talked about these brain chemicals in terms of, so what is cortisol? Is from what I heard, it's a negative hormone,
Well,
or
we need cortisol. I mean,
we
it's a
need
stress,
cortisol?
it's a stress
Okay.
hormone, of course. And so there's good stress and then there is really bad stress. Stress is kind of like on a continuum, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we need good stress to keep us going and motivated and things like that. But it's when we have this chronic underlying stress that's when it wreaks havoc on our bodies and our brains and our hormones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And and you said sort of the dopamine is sort of more a sort of happier hormone, correct? That's where we would kind of want to stay.
Well, everybody loves a little shot of dopamine now and again, don't you? I love dopamine. It's great. I mean, your dopamine and your adrenaline is basically, people know it as kind of your reward pathway. It's your drive, it's your
Okay.
giddy up, it's your concentration, and it's that idea that was fun. Let's do that again. And when you're dating, everything is fun. Like you want to do that again and again and again. And so you're also partnering that dopamine with the person. We're creating this this togetherness. Like this person is fun. It's really the dopamine with the person.
Oh, wow. And I'm buying what you're selling so far. Interesting, your last
Am I
name.
unlocking it? Am I unlocking it right now?
Like
Yes.
Pandora's box.
Yes. We could go on. I mean, brain chemistry is
Oh,
key. It's key to relationships. And, most people are like, I need to feel connected. When people come to my office for couples work and things like that, the biggest concern is one, communication, two, having a sense of connectedness. And I look at this like, well, that's a personal responsibility because nobody else is in charge of your chemical balance. You are. So, but we want our partner to do certain things so I can feel a certain way. Unfortunately, we need to do things so we can feel a certain way. And
mm-hmm.
then that your partner will be the happy person that's alongside with you, when you push those chemicals.
Okay. So we don't want to rely on our partner for our happiness. We have to find that within ourselves. And then,
Always.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know who falls in love faster, who gets to that sort of attachment phase? Or, I mean, does it differ? Maybe it depends.
Well, it's interesting because actually the Journal of Psychology put out a research study that I actually had it wrong. I thought it was going to be women fall in love faster, but actually men fall in love faster. They have like a hormone dump. So they push out all the hormones first and become to that attachment phase first. However, women typically show up with the 3 words, I love you, faster than men. And so I thought that was fascinating.
That is
But,
fascinating.
we have a lot more words than men most typically anyway. So I guess I'm not surprised.
Okay. Wow. And we talked about love at first sight. I mean, I don't know, maybe this isn't science-based or anything, but maybe this is just my thought on this. And you think about this person, maybe you're drawn to them in a certain way, and only in retrospect are you like, it was love at first sight. So that's my take on it. I don't know. What's your take on it?
I think it can be lust and attraction at first sight. The attachment, I think, is a phase that comes a little bit later. There's 2 very distinct parts of a relationship that we have to think about. One is the zesty piece of things, and the other is the safety and security. So if you think about back in your dating, like all the people that you dated and didn't end up with, probably because they were all filled with zest and weren't safe and secure, or all safe and secure and kind of boring and had no zest. So it's when you bring those 2 pieces together that you can create a relationship. And I don't know that you can do that at first sight, because at first sight feels like more just zesty, fun stuff, which is great. but that person might not bring in that safety and security that we actually need to have a solid foundation.
Wow.
Mhm.
At some point, so we need to have both to make a
Yeah.
strong, sustainable relationship. But it's so
Mhm.
interesting because we expect our person to um, bring this sort of side to them that is sort of zesty, but also rely on them and be our partner, but then also provide all of these things, passion. And so,
Right.
how do we do that? We expect them to do
Point the
everything.
finger to yourself. You bring the zest, you bring the safety and security, you bring it to the table. Don't wait for someone else to bring it to the table. Do it yourself.
Hmm. Wow. Well, last 30 seconds, Dr. Sell, tell us.
What am I telling you?
Sell, whatever.
I'm spilling the tea. I'm spilling
Anything else
what?
you like to add? So we have a little bit more time with you. We want to make the most of it. So you tell us more about any last thoughts on this.
The biggest thing is when you look for a partner, like what is it that that partner wants? Most people do want that sense of connection overall. And how do you bring that? In a lot of different ways. You need to start talking with your partner. What is it that they want in a relationship? Don't just expect them to know what you want, and don't expect to know what they want. When we first start dating, we bring everything to the table. All of our cards are laid on the table. Let's have fun. Let's give gifts, let's be happy. And then over time, we're like, well, all that stuff worked. What changed? Well, life keeps changing. So we have to keep continually changing and asking our partner, what do you need in a relationship? And then start bringing it to the table.
Mm-hmm. I once heard someone say that you don't have to grow apart, but you can grow together.
Always. I mean, think about it. When I first got married, I was in my middle 20s. Now I'm in my 50s. Lots has changed.
Not the
Lots
same.
has changed. I am not the same. I am not the same. And your relationship shouldn't be the same either. And most people say something like this: I want it to be like how it was when we first were together. Well, that's lust and attraction. So again, if you hear those words, that means you might be moving towards complacency. So bring the fun back to the table. Make it your responsibility.
Okay.
Mhm.
Wow. Dr. Sell, I'm mesmerized by this interview. Thank you so much for being here. This was excellent and so timely because we have Valentine's Day coming up. But again, love is all year round, right? We should celebrate
Love is
our
year
loved
round,
ones all year round.
all the time, every day.
Okay. Well, thanks again.
Thanks for having me.